have with us Dr. M. Srinivasan. He's the founder of GARE International. So if I have to introduce him in brief, then he's pursued his BA in education and later went on to pursue an MA in English and Commonwealth Literature. He has also studied at the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad, and earned a postgraduate diploma there. He brings with him decades of experience, and he began his teaching career in the Sainik School, after which he's donned several other hats before starting GARE International. He's been a very active member of the CBSE Schools Management's Association. As the president, he has voiced out several concerns that the CBSE schools have faced in the past. I would also like to tell you that there are two very interesting aspects about the journey of Dr. Srinivasan, which we will be discussing later in the interview. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To begin with, where would you place education on your national list of priorities? And do you think that the education outlay should be doubled by cutting defense expenditure?
For the first question, my answer would be, it should be priority 1, or if I can put that in the order, -5, that important. See, priority 2 means less important, 1 means the most important. If it's -5, it is very deep, okay? Because the whole country depends on that. Number 2, coming to expenditure, I have a take on that. We don't need to cut any outlay of any department. The outlay is enough, but we are not making use of the intellectual capital we have. That's why our education is suffering. It is not the money. We are spending enough money, but the money is not being used properly. And more than that, the intellectual capital of the teachers we have, they are not being used. Everybody has something to offer, but we don't know what it is. It retires with them.
Correct. So I think when we're talking about budget and planning, the education minister plays a key role, and we have a new education minister now. So if you are to give him three priorities or 3 main issues that he needs to be looking at immediately, what would those be?
According to me, it should be first and foremost teacher training, which is totally useless right now. It has to be relevant to the time and the children. That means a new research has to design a new curriculum for teachers. That should be more hands-on, more meaningful. That's number 1. Number 2, differentiated education. Education cannot be the same for all the children of the country. A child in the village, a child in the city, the curriculum cannot be the same. We need experts who will design curriculum which will be different for a child in the village and the child in the city, but they can achieve the same level of expertise. That is something different which the minister needs to think about. The third one would be to look after education of the underprivileged, mainly in the government schools. We are spending a lot of money and there is no result out of that. He needs to pay attention to that.
All right. And now, the other burning issue is about the ongoing fee tussle, because it's the start of the academic year. And we see all over the country, there's one issue which is very pertinent, and it is the tussle between parents and school managements over the fee payment. So do you think, like what happened in Karnataka, do you think that the government should intervene?
Government should intervene, but not the way it has done in Karnataka.
Okay, if
you can't be a Robin Hood and then rob somebody and help somebody and you have an interest in that. That vote bank politics is not correct because it doesn't help anybody. If you identify parents who need help, even the schools are ready to help. And en bloc giving 30% or 50% concession is not meaningful because there are parents who have got no loss. Why they should be given 50% concession? There are parents who need more than 70% concession. What are you doing with them? So it is not rational that it is done. We have to look after children and parents. This is not the way.
So another thing is that, over the last 2 years, because of the onset of the pandemic, we see that the education sector has been heavily impacted, and we've been put in a situation we've never seen before. So if you are to give a 3-point prescription to revitalize the Indian K-12 education post-pandemic, what would that be?
See, there has been a lot of gap with many children, but not all. For those children who have had a gap, we should revisit the previous learning and quickly bring them up to the current level. That means if a child has missed grade 4, revise up to grade 3 quickly, do starting with grade 4, but by the time they reach grade 6, they should have covered everything. That should have been the approach. Otherwise, the child will be at a loss. Those children who are having continuous education, more or less, the schools can take care of things with the children lost. That's mainly in other aspects, not in academic aspects. We need to pay a lot of attention to preschool or up to 7 years, and then adapt the same strategy in the future years. So our approach to education has been the same. It needs a drastic change. Unfortunately, I don't see that change even in the NEP 2020. Okay. NEP 2020 is more or less only administrative policy. They don't talk about education. That's a sad part.
There was one life-changing incident which led to the founding of GARE International. It was a rather emotional one. So can you tell us about it?
See, I was a vice principal at the age of 27. When I was 31, I met with almost a fatal accident in Delhi. Okay. So I got my second life in Moolchand Hospital. I was not guaranteed life for 3 days. When I walked out of the hospital after 1 month, I decided that I'll do something for the children of this country, because I believed it is the love and affection of those children which gave me a second life. To fulfill that promise, I came back to India to set up the school. Of course, during my tenure of 10, 11 years abroad, I was planning, taking courses. In fact, I did the Masters in Gifted Education at National Research Center only to set up my school. Okay. So with all that, I designed a kind of education system for myself. It's a model, and I'm implementing that. This model is recognized by UNESCO as a world model. This is simply to say, you don't teach gifted children, you create gifted children.
That's a very, very interesting concept, sir. So, if you can give us quick one-line answers for the following questions. Who's that one thinker or philosopher you admire the most?
I think I would very much say Socrates.
Okay. And your favorite Nobel laureate?
Einstein.
Okay. If you can describe in 1 or 2 phrases, what would your leadership style be?
See, I always believe in doing with the followers. You don't dictate to them. You give them ideas, but be with them. And don't be the same with everybody. There are some who can run. There are some who can crawl. So support them. And my leadership is not to say that I am the boss, I know everything, and you do it. No. We all will do it together. And I have found a lot of success in this regard.
All right. And what would be your favorite book on education?
The Good to Great by Jim Collins. That has given me a lot of ideas how an institution should be established and run, what should be the research, what should be the CEO and things like that. That is a fantastic book for anybody who wants to lead others.
We thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Reshma. Very nice talking to you too.